Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Ramona Galey. She is a vibrational mentor, spiritual success coach, and author, and she helps entrepreneurs, coaches, investors, and other leaders and big thinkers to stop overthinking and reclaim the genius they were born with. Welcome to the show, Ramona.
Thank you, Ajay. I'm so glad to be here. Very much looking forward to our little chat.
You are welcome to the show, Ramona. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about how one can align with their highest potential to achieve the success that that they want to. But first, before I come to others, let me talk about you, Ramona, a bit about your journey towards becoming a mentor, spiritual success coach.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I didn't have any spiritual paradigm whatsoever when I was younger. When I was 55 years old, my life partner, who I loved more than life itself, she died in my arms. And that started a whole new journey for me. I was about ready to follow her. And spoiler alert, it all turned out okay. But this is why I do what I do, because I was at rock bottom. I was ready to check out. I was very lost. And I got found, and I found myself, and I found others, and I found love. And so this is why I do what I do. I help people because this type of help that I provide was not available to me, not for any money. I looked everywhere for it. And so it's very important to me that everyone get this message that there's always hope, there's always love. In fact, there is only love, and it's very important to me that everyone know this, that there is hope. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hope is what keeps us going, and everybody should know it. But what about those people you talk about overthinking? That you help those people to stop overthinking and reclaim the genius that they were. So why do they overthink, and how does it impact their hope and aspirations? And that needs to be they that need to come into alignment with their potential.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. I actually think most of us overthink at least part of the time. Now, some of us overthink more than others, or at different times. But when we're overthinking, it's when we are stuck in that circuitous loop, the one that says, "Well, maybe I should do this, but maybe I should do that," or "So and so wants me to do this, but I don't really want to do that, but I really should do that." Like these kinds of, or like smart goals. In our society now, you can't have just a regular goal; it has to be a smart goal, or else you'll never reach it. All of these, strategizing, figuring out how I'm going to accomplish things, these are all forms of overthinking. And when we the thinking release all of the thinking and come into our hearts, into our bodies, what I frequently call coming into the breath, then we can find our guidance, and we don't have to think about it. We can feel into it. And then the thoughts that come to us naturally feel like completely different thoughts. They are completely different sort of thoughts. So there's a distinct flavor difference in the way it feels between overthinking and inspired thinking that comes from our guidance. And that's the main thing, to know about thinking, is to make sure that we are in aligned thought or inspired thought rather than the what I'm categorizing as overthinking, which, can take several different formats. But yeah, it's very important, very helpful to get out of that.
Right. But Ramona, tell me one thing. A lot of people overthink. Geniuses also overthink. Common people perhaps think more because they have other things to take. So, what's the difference between the genius people? Why do they not use their genius? And what about the common think people? Why do they overthink? I want to understand this overthinking part. Thinking is
Okay.
okay. When does it become overthinking?
I am going to disagree with you respectfully, Ajay. I'm
No,
going
no.
to disagree
Yeah,
with you. The geniuses among us, first of all, I know that we are all born genius. Are you familiar with the NASA study they did back in the 1960s? They tested a bunch of children that were in the Head Start program. So, by definition, sort of disadvantaged children. And at 5 years old, 98% of them tested as geniuses. And by the time had been through school and grown up, they followed them, and down to 2% were testing still as geniuses. I believe we're all born with everything we need to know, including our genius, including our brilliance. We know exactly what we want, what we're here to do. And so the overthinking dulls that genius. It doesn't get rid of it. It kind of covers it. It makes it so that we can't see it or feel it anymore. But if you look carefully at quotes from Einstein and Tesla and some of our greatest so-called geniuses that we have good records for, more recently, you'll find that they were feeling into their results. They were tuning into vibration. When you actually look at what they've said, they were not overthinking. They were hardly thinking at all until the inspiration came. And then the thinking helps put it into words. But the thinking does not come first for a genius, the feeling does.
Okay, great way you explained, and that is what I wanted for the audience. But in terms of, you see, alignment, where does alignment figure into all these things, and when do we require ourselves to come into alignment? I want to understand. Excuse me. So I want to understand this part only. And
Absolutely.
why do we go out of alignment, and when do we need to come into alignment? Does it keep on continuously happening? It happens only sometime. And how do we actually get into alignment in spite of whatever the situation it is? But the fact is that as soon as a crisis happens, our mind goes for a toss, alignment goes for a toss, like a car which has gone out of alignment.
Yes, I totally agree. And it's a great subject. I love that topic just all the way around. I love alignment. I love the way it feels. When I get into pure alignment, when I've practiced and learned the skills of getting back into alignment no matter what's going on in my life, I can get into alignment literally no matter what's going on. And when I'm out of alignment, I cannot see, they say that you can't see the forest for the trees. It's kind of like that. Like you're so blocked by what's right in front of you, what we like to call what is itis, like you've got an infection that has you make us focus on what is, right? And so if what is not pleasant and you're focused on it, you're not going to be happy. And that's what we're talking about, right? Alignment is happiness. It's one with the world. It's feeling good in our bodies and our hearts and our minds and in our relationships. And so that there's a skill. There are many skills that I can teach, for across the board, different ones for different people. But the basic skill, get into alignment, is so essential. And I have my clients all practice on small things, like a choice, a simple choice. So in other words, you choose alignment through your focus. You focus on what feels the best in any given moment. Practice on small things. You don't want to practice when your house is just burned down or there's a riot going on in the street or when there's big things. Practice on little things every day until it becomes second nature to choose that which feels better between two or more choices. You choose the one that feels the best. That's where our guidance is. And we have to learn how to discern what feels best. That's a skill. But once you've got these couple of basic skills and you've practiced them just a little bit, everything in your life starts to calm down. Everything starts to go your way. You start to get lucky. You know what? Some people, I'm very lucky. You start to feel lucky. You feel blessed. You feel fortunate. You feel so much appreciation for everything around you. It's to the point where you can pick up anything in your environment and say, wow, I just really love this thing and really feel into it. That's alignment. And that is a skill and a status and a state of mind, a state of being that stands us in good stead, and it causes everything to change in our lives. So it's the building block of everything I teach is alignment and how to get into alignment quickly by choosing your focus.
Okay. To by choosing your focus. So that's
Yes.
that's understood. But then, what can be the roadblock to alignment when my life is already going topsy turvy? I'm trying to get into alignment, and then there can be challenges and roadblocks. What are the things that I should be wary of and be aware of?
Okay, you have to focus on something that's going well. So if you have 10 things going wrong, my spouse is dying, my children hate me, I've lost my job, my house burned down, you could have all these things. And I have a dog that loves me, or and the trees are beautiful, or and it might be just as simple as the sun is shining, or I have a glass of clean water, and I appreciate having a glass of clean water. Some people in the world don't have clean water, and I have a glass of clean water. Whatever it is, choose that one thing that you can find to focus on that's going well, that you can say good things about, that you can feel good about, and milk that feeling. When I say milk, you know how you pull milk out of a cow, right? You really work hard at it, you squeeze it, you really put some effort into it, some muscle into it, some elbow grease, as they say. Really milk that good feeling. And this is a skill that I can teach you how to do very quickly, very easily. And we do what we call rampage of appreciation that we learned from Abraham Hicks years ago. And we build up this good feeling, we build it up, we build it up. And every time an unwanted subject tries to come in, we look at it, we don't ignore it or suppress it. We look at it, we say, okay, and then we look away again. And the joke in my group is, oh, look, squirrel. It's a, oh, look, squirrel. It's like a distraction. We purposefully distract ourselves from focusing on anything that's unwanted until the wanted becomes so strong in our vibration that we start attracting more wanted. And things starts to actually magically change. I know that sounds pretty woo-woo, but it really is true. Things start to magically change in our life when we start focusing on things that are going well. Because if you think about it, there's 100 million things going on in the world right now that I could find. There are children starving various places. There's people being beat up, and horrible things done to them. If I focus on those things, I'll be bringing in more unwanted. If I focus just on a clean glass of water, then I'm focused. Then I'm bringing in and I'm attracting more of what is wanted. And this is how I impact on the world, by focusing on what's going well. That focus actually steers the world in the right direction, in the wanted direction.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now let's learn a bit more from your book, Lonely to Fearless. So tell us about this book. Why did you write this book? Who is this for? What can people learn from this?
Thank you very much for that question. So I wrote the book last fall. I had just returned from, I had been off grid for a month, and I knew when I came back, I wanted to only pick up the pieces from my life that I really wanted and just leave everything else there, like almost like everything's just laying around on the ground. And I'm going to say, okay, I want this piece and that piece. The rest of it, I can just rake up and put into a garbage bag, or I can just let the wind blow it away. And so when I came back, I had this openness that I hadn't had before, right before I left, and it just flowed into that vacuum, if you will, and it flowed out, and I wrote the entire book in about 2 weeks. I mean, I actually wrote the majority of it in about 4 days. The overall outline, and most of the, some of the case studies and things, and the editing and whatnot took a little bit longer. But and here's who I wrote it for. I actually wrote it for everybody. So lonely, I believe, are you familiar with the concept, like sometimes when if I'm not careful, I'll think I'm hungry when it turns out I'm actually thirsty, or maybe I'm
Yes.
actually bored, or maybe I'm actually tired, but I say, "Oh, I'm hungry," and so I eat something. Loneliness is the same way. We can think or feel, and we might not use the term loneliness. Some people might call it sad, some people might call it frustrated. There's a lot of different, but I chose lonely because I think it's the most poignant of all the labels that we tend to choose to, like an overall kind of, like I'm hungry, I'm lonely. I'm lonely means I don't feel connected to myself. I feel left out. I feel like I don't fit in. I feel like I'm trying too hard, and I can't figure it out. I feel like there's something wrong with me. Like all of these things I've kind of encapsulated into the word lonely. And I think we all feel that way at various times. And so all it means is we're disconnected from self. So the entire book kind of debunks and addresses that whole the myths and the misunderstandings about loneliness in general, and how I'm really talking about all of us at different times. And then I give I've got like 41 case studies in there of various clients that I've worked with, including some of myself, my own personal life, demonstrating the different concepts that I'm talking about. It's full of practical exercises to do, to go from whatever that is, which I'm going to call lonely, to fearless, which is my word for in alignment, authentic, comfortable being seen, comfortable being myself. When I'm fearless, I face the world as myself. I don't need any armor or any facade, and I don't need to pretend, and I'm not trying to please people. This is a big part of the book, is letting go of people pleasing, which is, I believe, reaching kind of epidemic proportions in our society today. Everybody's running around trying not to offend anybody and trying to be liked by every single person, and devastated if they're not liked. And this is the opposite of alignment. This is deep entanglement, what I call entanglement. And so the whole book is about how to let go of all of that and just be yourself. That's the nature of the book. And I think it's for everyone.
Absolutely, be yourself. Now, one thing I wanted to understand from you, Ramona, is about about old patterns. People talk about leaving old patterns and look at the world anew. Many times, people used to say, they still say, old is gold. Then
Hmm.
foundation, you should never forget your foundation. Good things can still be your foundation. We learn something in childhood, we still remember it. That is the knowledge, foundation of knowledge for many of us. So
Yes.
how do you know, many a times in this whole zeal to forget things and in the name of forgetting old patterns, we may leave a lot of good things behind. How should especially young generation look at new things in a fresh manner, but do not discard things in the name of old patterns? What is your suggestion on this?
Yes, I think this is essential information, especially for younger people, but really for all of us. But I really want your audience to hear this. So, but depending on how it feels, when I think of an old memory, if it doesn't feel good, I don't want to focus on it. That's the kind of thing that I want to start to let go of. If it feels good, if I have a poignant memory of a holiday with the family, or my first kiss with my beloved, or whatever that memory is, even from childhood, that foundation that you're talking about, which I believe is very, very important. We are such creatures of habit, and so we don't want to, we say throw the baby out with the bathwater. You're throwing out the dirty bathwater and accidentally the baby goes with it. That foundation that you're talking about, of beautiful, of love, of soothing, of good feelings, of good momentum, we want to keep those. And so to me, the entire difference is, how does it feel? If thinking about it from right here, right now doesn't feel as good, I want to let it go. And I don't want to wrestle it to the ground. I don't want to hit it or yell at it. I just want to say, I'm just going to look over here now and think about something else. I'm going to distract myself in this very intentional way and gentle way. And if it does feel good, then I want to keep it, and I want to build on it, because in the present, right here, right now, is actually where I feel the best. Anything from the past, even as good a memory as it is, there's a little bit of a deadness to it. It doesn't resonate quite as well because it's done. So I can use that as a momentum builder, as that foundation that you're talking about, but really focus and come right back to my breath, right back to the here and now. Here's where all my joy is. Here's where all my freedom is. Here's where all my power is. Here's where all my impact on the world is. This is where my mission is, my calling, my heart. And so my inspired action flows from right here, right now. And so, yes, the foundation based on how it feels. That's really, really important to know, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn from you, Ramona, and I'm sure
Well, thank
a
you.
lot of people would like to learn more about you, from you, about Heartset Academy, the Alignment Circle, Mastermind, so many things you do. You are the founder of that. So help us understand what is the best way for people to get the best out of you and to connect with you.
I think the best way right now, especially for your podcast audience, is my free private podcast. This is not available anywhere. I will give you the link. You may already have the link, but whatever
Yes.
the link is, it's a free private podcast, which means, and I've done a little bit kind of a funny twist on it. I'm always the guest, and I have volunteers come in and ask me a question as if they're the host. So I have visiting hosts come through and visit, and we've done quite a few of them already. We've focused on, so each episode is one topic. It might be procrastination, might be self-sabotage, imposter complex, clarity, entanglement, authenticity. These Each episode is very clearly labeled, so it's a library of easily searched, and you can just put, it's on a playlist on YouTube. And to me, that is the best way to start to get to know, because every topic you're going to hear at least one, and typically many very unique answers to the question, different answers from you've heard from anybody else, vibrational answers to these very human conditions that we find ourselves thinking about. And it's a very valuable gift, and I give it to your audience free with great joy. So that's where I would say to start if they're interested in finding out more.
Wonderful. And thank you for that. And with this, it's
Thank
a
you.
wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so
Thank you,
much indeed
Ajay.
for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.